Rivalries reignited.
Historic heavyweights.
The spiciest of derbies.
New kids on the block.
The best leagues in the land are back.
Tom Hitchcock crashes. Tom Hitchcock goes. Tom Hitchcock scores. Leaving it all out there for the fans.
A steamroller has just charged through.
Dynasty, destiny, drama.
Your Women's National League Cup champions.
Future stars set to shine.
Bill Rigg, who's been on fire all season.
Champagne rugby? Look no further.
To score one of the most memorable tries.
Durham University are BUCS Super Rugby League champions.
But the truth is, in this league, it's anyone's on the day.
And it's full time. It is 6 wins from 6 for Swansea.
Entertainment guaranteed.
Bullard through! Bullard wins it for Exeter in the death!
BUCS Super Rugby.
Women's National League.
BUCS Rugby is back.
Hello everyone and welcome to King Coyd Campus. It's cold, it's wet, it must be Cardiff Met. The BUCS Super Rugby League season comes to an end later, but the Women's National League knockouts get underway here with two giants of university sport. Cardiff Met, the hosts, Loughborough students, the visitors. The winner has a daunting task in the semi-finals against Hartpury, the defending champions. However, it is all about the here and now. We've got two live matches for you, and it's safe to say we are pretty excited here in the capital of Wales. Speaking of excited, I'm excited to see this one. James Roberts. It's a huge one, isn't it?
It's massive. Like when you think about the scale of this fixture in the course of a whole season, it's do or die now. It's knockout time. It's time to get on that road to the Stonex. Time to get that National League trophy in your hand, and it all starts here. And luckily for us, it starts at home.
I've got a philosophical question for you, because I nearly introduced you as former archer, but like an Olympian, once you're an archer, are you always an archer, or do you ever move on?
You're always an archer. Look, I mean, I was very honoured to be part of the Cardiff Met rugby setup here, and at the beginning of the year, coming onto the broadcasting course, I wore my number ones at the Welsh Sports Hall of Fame dinner, and the first thing that was tweeted back was Cardiff Met RFC saying, looking how sharp I was. You know, Lawrence Weekly, one of my coaches as well, commenting on it as well. So when you do come here, you get attached to the brand that the club is. You know, the ethos, you get engulfed, and you get turned into these great young men that we see being pumped out of the university system every single year. And two of your favourites, Luke Northborough and Alex Donbrandt, obviously settling well into the international game.
Yeah, Tom Pearson's doing all right as well. But that is later. We're going to talk about the Women's National League first. A look behind us here. We've got an African Violet team who've come all the way down via Worcestershire and the Midlands to come over the border. We've got Cardiff Met, who have had a really interesting season in terms of it started well and then it's dipped, but now they've got the opportunity to really push on, and we've seen Women's National League teams do this in the past, Hartpury being the best example last year. Let's talk about what they've done well this year. There's going to be plenty from you and I, but let's have a little look at analysis first, because Griff and Ethan have been taking a look at one of Cardiff Met's top players.
So last time out here at King Coyd, Cardiff Met Women's played against Edinburgh. A tight affair, 15-all here at the 72nd minute, and Met decided to play a dummy switch pop. A very common move in the rugby world, but when played well, it was very effective, as we can see here. So the Met 12 is running her line, having a switch with the 10 and aiming for that 10-12 channel, trying to isolate both of those players. And then the 13 then is running into the 12-13 channel on the inside shoulder of the 13, forcing the 13 to make a decision on who she's going to go for. As we've got the blindside winger here coming round and giving that wide option, which they end up going for in the end.
Yeah, Griff, it's a brilliant move by Cardiff Met. We see them run this move time and time again, and it's such an effective move because there's so many options, Griff. 10 can go herself, give a switch to 12 and take that crash ball, or even pop it to 13, or like you said, on this move, they'll inevitably go out the back. But I just want to highlight the Edinburgh defence here. Right now, they're in good position. You know, they're a player on player. They're suiting up quite well. I'm a bit concerned about this 13. She looks a little bit worried that her 12 is not going to make that tackle on the 13. And that is giving the Cardiff Met winger a little bit of space, a little bit of time, and we'll see the Cardiff Met winger take advantage of that as we play it on. Griff, talk to us in this position.
So as you can see here, because that 13 was hesitant at going out, she was scrambling to come across to defend that blindside winger, which left the winger of Edinburgh in a bit of a no man's land. She didn't know who she was going to go for. Was she going to bite in on that 15 or hold off? She ended up biting in on that 15 and some quick hands out to the winger, and Seren Singleton here is in some space, and we know how dangerous she can be in some space.
Yeah, absolutely. Seren Singleton doesn't need a second offer to eat up that space. Griff, you know, quick feet and absolutely rapid pace. But I got to say, Edinburgh, 15, should be covering this space here, Griff. As a 15, you want to use that touchline as your extra defender. And right now, she should be feeling quite confident. Ideally, she'd want some of the inside defenders corner flagging, tracking across, just in case there is an inside step. But right now, it's a brilliant picture for Edinburgh, you would say.
Yes, so they've got these defenders coming across, hopefully. But as we can see here, the quick feet and a bit of creativity and a lot of pace leaves the Edinburgh defence not knowing who to tackle, and Seren Singleton runs in under the posts.
Yeah, I tell you what, Griff, Seren Singleton with some brilliant footwork. I'd probably say even better than some of your footwork on the dance floor out in Cardiff, mates.
Some fantastic analysis there of one of the stars for Cardiff Met, Seren Singleton. But we've got another star here who's unavailable due to injury, but on the field's loss is off the field's gain. Dano Mugabe, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Well, you say you're good, but you've got a fairly hefty bit of strapping on your ankle. What you can't see here are a pair of SpongeBob Crocs, and it's probably for the best that we've only got one camera. How much are you missing playing? You've got a big smile on your face, but big games like this, you must be bit gutted you're not out there.
Yeah, I am gutted to be missing the game, but I've never been so excited to watch a game, and I think the girls, both teams, are going to put on an amazing performance.
Well, we hope so. Tell us about Seren then, because we had a really good look at what she's all about there. She's a good pal of yours and a great player.
Yeah, well, off the pitch, Seren is just as good as a mate, but on the pitch, if you find yourself in a one-on-one, you're going to be questioning whether you should even be playing rugby. Seren is just one of those players that she's just going to absolutely tear it up every single time.
I don't think I've heard a more positive review of a player or a friend than that.
If I could make a team of 15 players made of one person, it'd be Seren Singleton, honestly.
Hey, look, you heard it here first. Yeah. Clearly, she's the star player to look out for today. And, you know, super Seren Singleton, she's definitely going to tear it up down the wing again today. We saw it in that analysis. It's almost just supposed to happen down on Rugby 1.
And so we've got a look at the pre-match huddle there. We can see the conditions are tough. The rain's falling. The pitch looks pretty heavy. It's always a bit of a fortress here at Rugby 1. But what have the conversations been like in the build-up to the game today?
So Reece Roberts is very adamant. In a game, we're just going out there to be absolute dogs. We've got to put work rate in every single aspect of the game, and say they've already chased 20 metres. We're chasing them all the way up to the try line, pushing them up to the edge. So it's going to be a hard kick for them.
And you've had a really interesting season, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because Reece has come in, because you know your coach has had a baby, which is very, very cool. But she's back now. What has that transition been like between different coaches and learning different things off different coaches?
Both coaches have been absolutely great. Reece, we cannot thank him enough. He has changed our game completely, as you can see. We're just hoping that Lisa can keep it with us and then work together perfectly.
And then a semi-final if you get the win.
Yeah.
What else has been having off the pitch then? Because you were telling me about some great social media content that's been going on around the Archers women.
Honestly, when people think these days that they can start a bit of a TikTok career, I don't think that they should go any further than just straight to the Cardiff Met women's page, because it's been phenomenal. Some of the away day content has been great, and then I had the pleasure of filming green screens with the team ahead of today's match, ready for graphics, and they made a bit of a TikTok out of that. We all had a bit of a laugh. Yeah. It's just fantastic to see the fact that they're enjoying the rugby here at Cardiff Met. So, just great content getting out there on a regular basis. It puts the rest of us to shame, really, Dave.
And just give us an idea of what that's like then, because, you know, when you come to university to be a rugby player, to maybe go as far as you can with the game, maybe to meet a few players, but to do extra things like that must be very, very cool to be a part of.
It just makes you closer as a team and makes training that much easier when you just know the people you're playing with.
Very, very exciting. Hey, look, good luck with the injury recovery. Looking forward to seeing you back out there in an Archers jersey. But we're, of course, counting down to kick-off and looking forward to the first of our two fantastic live games today. It's Cardiff Met versus Loughborough Students for a place in the semi-final. Let's catch up with the coaches before kick-off.
Yeah, listen, we've had a lot of time to prep for this. The girls have been in classroom sessions, on-field sessions. You know, we've done everything we can to prepare ourselves for today. it's the beauty of Cup Rugby, isn't it? It's a do-or-die moment, but I think the girls are in a good place, and we as coaching staff feel in a good place as well, so yeah, 100%. The last time we were out here, the weather conditions may have been very different to what we're expecting tonight, so it'll be a different style of rugby, but I think from the girls' perspective, or what we want to see from as a club, is just a real dogfight. Like, we want to make sure that Loughborough know they've come to Kincoid tonight, and yeah, well, it's not tonight, but this afternoon. I think Loughborough, you know, to be fair to them, they're a great rugby playing side, right? They like to move the ball about, which, I mean, the conditions probably wouldn't suit them for tonight. So I'd expect to see them moving the ball. They've got, you know, great kickers on their team as well. But what I expect from us then is to shut that straight down.
Well, you heard it here first from Lisa Newton. The ball is going to be moved around in the hands a lot by Loughborough, but what Cardiff Met need to do is just keep to their own game plan, keep that ball on the pitch and running through the hands, and it's definitely going to be a bit of a forward-dominated game today, just looking out as those conditions and going off the back of what Lisa's just said, because the rain is starting to pitter-patter and the wind has certainly picked up. Well, let's see if the sides can treat us, because it's always a treat to watch Women's National League Rugby, and these are two of the top sides. Speaking of those sides, let's introduce ourselves to them. Well, Cardiff Met, they make 5 changes from the side which travelled away to Durham in their final regular game of the season. 2 of them in the front row. The Carr twins come in to terrify their opposite numbers. Emily Joyce maintaining her spot at loosehead. Katie Mackay and Paige Jones an unchanged engine room, with the ferocious Ruby Smith roaming the park from the blind side and Kaylin Hubbard working alongside her at 7. Jess Rogers packing down at 8. She'll be looking to use her threatening ball carrying ability the same as any other 8 of her quality. Molly Reardon and Maya Dixon, a new half-back pairing for the Archers. Izzy Wallace, a former Loughborough Centre of Excellence player, will be whipping down the left wing, and Natalia Barnes is joined in the centre by club captain E.C. Contrell, who is back to her old, potentially more favoured position. Super Seren Singleton will be one to keep an eye on at the right wing, and the final change to the starting lineup as well, and Emily Griffiths comes in to complete the starting 15 at fullback. The replacements for Cardiff Met, Sophie Licence Law and Claudia Grashan will be covering the front row, with SU Vice President Natalia Roach. Somerset Ladies Holly Donaghy will cover the remaining forward pack alongside Scarlet's under-18 Seren Webster. Former Gloucester Harbury Caitlin Lewis will join former Saracens Centre of Excellence Kira Reeves and second-year Nicole Marlowe as the final replacements for Cardiff Met. Now, the side that have left the Loughborough Hills for the home for the valleys of Glamorgan. Erin Proctor is joined by the first of 5 replacements in Katie Trevarden's side today. Bryony Field of Loughborough Lightning coming in at hooker, with Abba Austin completing the front row. Poppy Phillips, the former Richmond player, another change in the pack, coming in alongside Becky Boyd in the second row. Roberta Cuerden-Jones, the final change in the pack, with Sarah Stresser, the Ireland under-18, on the open side. Sally Williams completes the pack for us. Faye Robinson, the first change in that African Violet backline. The scrum half will be feeding the ball to Bears Centre of Excellence fly half Leah Green, and England under-20s Nikita Prothero slides out onto that left wing. And in the centres, Amanda Swartz is alongside the newly reintroduced Beau Westcombe Evans. Ellen Scantlebury will be covering the right wing, with captain and fullback Georgina Tasker bringing her England experience to sweep and command across the park. Those making impact later in the game for Loughborough are Grace Thresser, Emily Maguire and Stephanie Atkinson covering the front row. Lucy Dale and Molly Chartres will be across the remaining forward pack together, with Lightning's Alex Baker looking to bolt off the bench into the match later today, alongside Wales under-20 Molly Anderson-Thomas and finally Sarah Smart. Well, that's our Loughborough team, Dave. As a former Loughborough alumni yourself, you must be pretty excited looking at that.
Can't say that. Come on. This is a really exciting game, actually. I think, as was mentioned before, the conditions are going to play into Cardiff Met's hands, particularly when you look at the Loughborough backline. Nikita Prothero, Amanda Schwartz, Beau Westcombe Evans and Georgina Tasker have all played in the Premier 15s for Loughborough Lightning this season, and that's the kind of experience that's absolutely massive. Bryony Field, the hooker as well, has also played in that Premiership team, and when you think about the level of play that they've been learning off, the level of coaching, internationals from Wales and England and Scotland and all over the world who play at that level, they're going to have grown from that. But this is knockout rugby. They won all over the season. Cardiff Met had a great start, and they took the first one. Loughborough students, should I say, not Loughborough Lightning, they've grown into the season, and they were comfortable victors last time. But now all bets are off. And something we've not really taken into consideration yet is that this could be the last game in the jersey for a lot of these players, the final year students, and that emotion can really play a part. It can play a part to spur you on to achieve things beyond what you can. It can also leave you within your shell. So the reaction from the players, particularly early on in the game, is going to be absolutely massive to see how they deal with that additional emotion of knockout rugby and potentially the last time they get to pull on a jersey like that.
Well, now you mentioned those Loughborough Lightning students in that side that are going to be really key and crucial. Obviously, we can now see the conditions on our cameras. The rain is starting to thrash down. It's no longer a pitter-patter. Does that mean that those players are going to have to stand up as individuals, maybe command the squad a bit more? Do you look to them as a player?
I think so. Experience is absolutely huge, and some of the relationships in this squad, just like all teams in the Women's National League, you've got players who've come through teenage academies and centre of excellence. You've also got players that, even though they're naturally athletic and they've taken to the game, then they've been playing for a relatively short amount of time. So conditions like this, where the ball is slippery, the ground is heavy, we can see now, despite the fact that they've done a fantastic job of preparing this pitch, they play a lot of rugby here at Rugby 1. So at this point of the year, it does look a little bit bare, but it still plays well. I think if you're watching at home and you see a few supporters there with their long coats and their hoods up, and it does look like it's a little bit heavy and a little bit bare, I still think there are the opportunities to play running rugby here. And with Cardiff Met coming out in that famous maroon jersey, Loughborough deciding that they're going to wait in the dugouts, I think that little bit of support they get as they come through the tunnel, this crowd here, small in numbers but high in volume, is going to make a big difference.
Yes, we can see the Cardiff Met side are now out, ready to face Loughborough in this quarter-final in the Women's National League. We can see them about to hit the pads. They're getting charged up. They're getting the fight inside them ready. Dave, they must be ready for a fight of this scale, because it's going to be by no means an easy match today. But like you've said already, anything can happen when it comes to knockout stages.
It certainly can. And look, with the other things that are going on, I've said it's the last performance in the jersey. That might not be true, because you've got the varsity coming up and stuff like that. But we've already seen in the Women's National League last year, Hartbury had a dreadful start to the season. Loughborough absolutely wiped them off the park when we took the cameras up there for the live stream. They built into the season. They got a couple of good wins. They ended up lifting the trophy at 6 ways. They beat Edinburgh in the final. Players from that team, like Sophie Bridger, she captained that team, and she's been one of the standout players in the Premier 15s this year. She's scored incredible tries in front of the BBC cameras, and now they're tipping her to play for England. So a game like this, on a day like this, when it is a 50-50 game, as I said, 1 all over the season, strong teams for both, not favourable conditions, but the conditions are a real leveller. I think a good start for either team, and you could have 1 foot in the semis.
Now, you mentioned an illustrious stadium there in the names of English rugby, 6 Way Stadium. We've got another one being the home of the finals this year, the StoneX Stadium. Is that going to be on the minds of all these players today?
When you finish
it's an opportunity, isn't it, to play at such a great stadium?
Well, when you finish playing rugby, and look, there could be players in both of these teams who end up playing for their countries, who end up playing in the Premier 15s or what other brilliant leagues spring up around the world. But for some of them, this will be the highest standard of rugby they ever play. And when you hang your boots up, whenever that is, after uni, through injury, when you decide to, well into your 30s, you'll get there eventually. You want memories and you want occasions to look back on. Getting to the StoneX Stadium to have the chance to win a trophy, because so many trophies have been won there over the years, not just Saracens. There have been schools finals there and county finals there and university finals there. It's a place where rugby glory follows that ground around, and that is something that has to be on the mind of these players. Get into a final and get in some glory.
Now the huddles are over, the teams are switching sides. Is this the first mind game of today, Dave?
Well, you tell me. You know how this pitch plays better than anybody else.
Well, we're about to find out what's going to happen this afternoon on Rugby 1, because Loughborough are about to get us underway here in the Women's National League quarter-final. And we are underway. Dixon has claimed the ball for Cardiff Met and instantly works it out to Jess Rogers, who's going to use her run game to get them outside the 22 already. Reardon's gone digging. We're delaying the ball there. Dixon with a big boot looking to clear ground, get them up the pitch and get the rugby underway. Good clearance there from Leah Green for the Loughborough side. The African Violet looking to gain some territory off of those off of the kicks that were exchanged. And it has resulted in Loughborough gaining a line out just inside the Cardiff Met half. Dave, as far as shaky opening exchanges go, that was relatively straightforward.
Yeah, both teams putting in on the toe pretty early. I don't think the Loughborough players have worked out that it's the corner away to our right that the ball travels into naturally, and I'm pretty sure that the kicking game of Cardiff Met will be looking to exploit that in the second half.
Good claiming at the line out there by Sally Williams for Loughborough. And it is out with Green, who's trying to invite the rest of her remaining forward pack that weren't involved in that line out to run onto the ball. Green again has it. She's gone for that chip through into the right-hand corner as it appears to us, but Griffiths has covered that well. Trying to work her way back into the infield, soldiering her way through, some might say, Dave. Pardon the pun. But now be a relatively straightforward clearance for Reardon at the base of the ruck. Easily claimed by the captain, Georgina Tasker, working it back across the pitch. Loughborough already starting to use that passing game that Lisa Newton spoke about in the build-up. We know they're going to try and move the ball. Jess Rogers went digging there to try and turn it over for Met, but Loughborough still have the ball. And now on that far side, Nikita Prothero has been swiped up by the Archer defence. But a stray hand coming through there from Ruby Smith sees a penalty awarded to Loughborough. Head seemed to go there at the ruck there. We've seen the first sort of blink of the occasion getting to someone.
Think worth noting as well, that's Nikita Prothero over there in a blank jersey, isn't it? If I spot any other number changes, I'll let you know. In fact, there's Sarah Smart. I'm going to go through the fourth wall there. I've just been sent a message that says Sarah Smart. That's not somebody who exists on this pitch, James. So let's dig a little bit deeper.
We'll be sure to give everyone an update when we have something to update you with. But the line-out is in African Violet hands, and it's claimed by the hands of Sally Williams once again. She'll surely be a consistent target for her hooker, Bryony Field, to keep Loughborough in possession of that ball, but they are charging towards the Met defence with intent. Surely the ball is out at the back of that ruck. Ref says no, stay back. And now the ball is in the hands of Green, and she's trying to invite her back line onto it, and it's in the hands of Westcombe Evans. She's made a bit of an advance there. Bryony Field now standing in at scrum half. The hooker distributing the ball out to Sarah Shrestha. The Ireland under-18 making a good bit of ground there for Loughborough University. And now Tasker, the captain, on the ball. She's flung it out wide, and it's just evaded the hands of Sarah Smart. If that had gone to hand, it was looking dangerous for the African Violet, that's for sure, here on Rugby One.
Yeah, Georgina Tasker getting involved as a receiver there. I think she's going to be key to Loughborough's attack today. She's playing 15. She's captaining the team. She has played for Lightning, as we said, in the Premier 15s. She's also doing a lot of the backs and skills coaching for the team this year, helping Katie Trevarthen out, all as a part of her sort of personal development as well. But she offers that experience, and we've seen a few nice contributions from her.
Well, we've got a replay here of that play from Tasker. It's a beautiful pass out wide.
Yeah, just right flat and looking for the winger to run onto it. Not easy to take today. It is cold, it is wet, sometimes when they stick in the bread basket, but just a little bit of a sign.
Now Field again finding Sally Williams, who is lifted aloft into the air, and Loughborough have their first driving maul of this game. They are inching their way closer and closer to the Archer try line, but Field breaks away herself, trying to find a gap. And now Smart is out on that far wing, but she's snuffled up by the Archer defensive effort. She's not going to gain any more ground. The ball is pinging out of that ruck like there's no tomorrow, and eventually Cardiff Met will win the penalty for Loughborough, holding on the floor. The pressure just mounted, and the African Violet couldn't take it.
Yeah, that's really good work from Cardiff Met. First questions they've had to answer inside their own 22. And in a game like this, red zone efficiency is going to be absolutely massive. That's one shot fired for Loughborough, and they've drawn a blank. But it's just a case now of what Cardiff Met can do to exit, because they tried the box kick before, kicked it straight to Georgie Tasker, and then she ran it back with interest. So Met yet to tiptoe over the halfway line. See if they can build something here.
Well, you mentioned that they might not want to try it with a kick, but they have got the threatening capabilities of Izzy Wallace out here on this near side touchline to us as Ruby Smith claims the ball at the line out for Met, and they try a rolling maul of themselves. So Rosie Carr comes back round from throwing that ball in. She's going to break away herself. A little one-on-one there with her opposite number. And Met have kept the ball there after a good march forwards. Dixon's trying to bark the orders for her forwards to get into the right position, and now it's the fresher Paige Jones who will carry that ball out, but she's knocked back in the tackle. Reardon goes for the quick snipe herself, and she's found the other Carr, Katie Carr, carving her way through the Loughborough defence. And it's another Carr on the ball again, but this time the African Violet violently hurtled the Cardiff Met advances back. And now Dixon interjects with a kick straight into the hands of Leah Green. Pressure coming up from the Cardiff Met back line. So Loughborough put boot to ball, and it has found the hands of the dangerous Wallace. She's made one step. Oh, huge tackle coming in from West Coombe Evans. Lined that up superbly. Tackle technique 101 on show there from Loughborough.
Just struggling a bit with gain line at the moment, Cardiff Met, aren't they? They've got Katie Carr taking a lot of carries.
Well, they're trying all sorts of things now to try and find that opening in the Loughborough defence. Natalia Barnes, the latest to carry forward for the Archer side. And now the Carr twins joining together to rumble through. Dixon out the back now to club captain E.C. Contrell. She's found a bit of space.
Advantage coming here as well.
Surely Cardiff men have got to try and do something a little bit flash, a little bit fancy. Take a gamble. They've got that advantage. Carr again, the ever reliable ball carrier, supported by Rogers. And Reardon hands it off to the other Carr twin. Dixon again puts boot to ball, looking to find some territory gain, but instead it's found the arms of the Loughborough defensive effort by Leah Green, and instead we're going to come back for the penalty advantage for Cardiff Met, and captain E.C. Control has got a pick of 2.
It's patient phase play from Cardiff Met, which is great, and the work rate of Rosie and Katie Carr is absolutely bonkers. But there was an instance there, you mentioned E.C. Cantrell. I know you said she's back at 13 today, perhaps her best position, but they had a 3-on-1 on the edge here, Cardiff Met. It was Ellen Scantlebury defending on her own, and there could have been a little bit of space outside there, so I think tunnel vision and a little bit of keenness to seek the contact might have cost them some field position. But here they go into the Loughborough 22 for the first time. That was a lovely shot from Bo West Coombe Evans, wasn't it?
West Coombe Evans showing us that there's no need for a discussion about the tackle.
No.
When you hit them low and hit them hard and drive your way through, it comes off as a superb challenge.
Yeah, knockout rugby, we love it.
Now Cardiff Met using a bit of fancy flashy feet to try and evade Loughborough at the line out, but instead it's knocked on in the line out by Cardiff Met first, then by Loughborough, so it means it's going to be a scrum down, and Loughborough will have the put in just inside their own 22. An unfortunate chance wasted there by Cardiff Met.
Well, this is interesting. First look at the set scrum. Joyce, Carr and Carr, and then Proctor, Field and Austin. Aber Austin, what a name.
Her fun fact for us was actually that she's from South Africa but born in Singapore.
I've got a more fun fact than that.
Oh, I've just got that she's well travelled.
She's called Aber because her sister couldn't say Annabelle when she was born and it stuck.
That is much better. I think everyone watching would prefer that. I know my mum will certainly prefer hearing that. But we're going to go for a scrum reset here. So the first attempt hasn't quite gone to plan in the eyes of the referee. So they're going to reset, reload, and try with the second put-in. Now, it's important in these early exchanges, isn't it, Dave, to get scrum dominance as a forward pack, because it sets the tone almost for your forwards for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and just paint a good picture for the referee as well. And I think sometimes in the Women's National League, when you've got a few front rows who are a little bit less experienced, if you have got that experience, as Loughborough will, being coached by Katie Trevarthen, Loughborough Lightning's most capped loose head prop, then they'll be hoping to paint a good picture for the referee. But both scrums seem pretty solid there.
There was Swartz that came away with the ball for Loughborough, and Green now puts boot to ball for the African Violets. And it's back inside the Cardiff Met half, but back in the hands of Cardiff Met through Emily Griffiths, who's found Izzy Wallace out in a bit of space on that left wing, and she's managed to get rid of the ball before she ends up in touch. Cardiff Met desperately diving over the top of the ball to make sure that they don't turn it over. Fantastic ruck defence from Molly Reardon. The clear out from Green was through the side, and so Loughborough concede the penalty, hand possession back to Cardiff Met, and this is chance 2, isn't it, Dave?
I think Rosie Carr's got away with one there. I think she's had a second bite at that on the floor, and then Leah Green has been a little bit too keen. She's gone off her feet, but that was it was a great contest at the breakdown, wasn't it? Because you've got half-backs in alien positions, scrum halves and outside halves having to show their full skill set. But that is a brilliant touch finder. And now Rosie Carr, what's she, 10, 12 metres out. Position A for Cardiff Met to have a good go.
She certainly will fancy a driving maul, commanding it from the driving seat, really, of her Cardiff Met pack. And she has found Ruby Smith, and they do indeed. They set up that driving maul, and it has been worked back to Rosie Carr. Great defence, though, from Loughborough to force them to take it to ground and bring the ball into the back line. It's evaded the hands of EC Contrell, though. Izzy Wallace has had to pick up the spills, but it might have worked out for the Archers there, because she almost found a bit of a hole. Rogers now carrying forward for the Met. Reardon shows and goes herself. A bit of a hole. It's in the hands now of Katie Mackay. Has she made it to the line? She has! Fantastic opening score there from Cardiff Met. A lovely show and go from Molly Reardon. Great support coming in from Katie Mackay, the second-year sport and exercise science student. That's the way to start a home quarter-final.
I love that from Cardiff Met, because they'll have been expecting to launch something from the maul. It went pear-shaped early on when the hooker lost her footing, but from here on in, there's a tiny little gap there for the scrum half. She's gone through, the offloads there. Katie Mackay on the inside line. And I love it because you can set up all the strike plays you want, but sometimes you've just got to look up and play what's in front of you, and that is exactly what Cardiff Met did there. And I know we've talked about the change of coaching and whatever, but Rhys Roberts will have absolutely loved that, because he's a back himself and he wants to see players with their hands on the ball, finding gaps, offloading. Brilliant try.
He's one of those coaches with a plethora of knowledge about the beautiful game of rugby. And like you say, Dave, he will have a great big smile on his face watching that one back in the analysis sessions. But for now, EC Contrell is stepping up to the plate to hopefully add the extra 2 points to take Cardiff Met even further ahead in this quarter-final. And she's kicked it straight and true through the uprights. It's the extra 2 points that Cardiff Met needed. So it's Cardiff Met 7, Loughborough University 0.
Great kick. Really good strike, but a really good try. Absolutely love that. And it's the first time we've really seen Molly Reardon with any space to work with. As I said, Loughborough have closed the gaps. They've made the gain line an absolute nightmare. But that's just evidence. You can't make silly mistakes and give away penalties. You gift your opponent's field position in a game like this. Eventually, you're going to give away points. And that's what Loughborough have done there. And huge credit, as I said, to Cardiff Met, and particularly Rosie Carr there, because when she lost her footing at the back of the maul, that could have been the end of that, but it was just the beginning.
Absolutely, and we are now back underway, and Rosie Carr again was getting us going in with the first carry, but that's Paige Jones making the latest front carry forward for the Archers. Ball popped out there at the back of the ruck. They weren't expecting that, so Katie Carr's going to have to tidy that up. And Molly Reardon will look for a better picture to play with now as she goes for that BUCS kick. But Loughborough not giving up at the breakdown, though. Bryony Field coming through, but not coming through from an onside position. Molly Reardon deciding to go quickly, but behind the referee. It's important when you do go quickly, Dave, that you do it in the referee's vision. Is that a silly mistake from Loughborough in these early days?
All the penalties are around the breakdown, aren't they? Either coming in off feet, or there've been a few in at the side, and we've even seen there Ellen Scantlebury probably not standing as deep as she could to take that ball on the line. Talked about nerves and the occasion. At the moment, it's Cardiff Met who are dealing with those a little bit better. And again, Loughborough conceding field position.
There's another great touch finder from Maya Dixon, She brings a wealth of experience in the form of being Wales Cardiff Rugby and Wales Touch under 18 squad members, so just a few honours to her name really. Paige Jones looking to find Jess Rogers, but the ball not going to hand, and so Dixon's going to have to tidy that one up herself. But her forwards pack are there quickly to support. Katie Carr with a big carry being met by Lightning's Bryony Field. Field not seeming to roll away very quickly there, and unfortunately
that might be offside.
The referee's saying it's gone backwards there, so it's anyone's game on the floor. And it's Loughborough that come away with it in the form of Erin Proctor, but she spilt it on the floor. Now it's in the hands of Emily Joyce. This game is going everywhere at the moment. Reardon over the top of the head of Georgina Tasker. She's letting that one roll onto the Loughborough try line, and Green will dot that down for the goal line dropout, sorry.
There's a couple of instances of Loughborough not being deep enough to receive the kick. We saw the one penalty go into touch where the Loughborough player wasn't stood far enough back, and then we saw Tasker there probably 5, 6, 7 metres further forward than she could have been, and that's gone over her head. And here we go again, Katie Carr with another carry.
Another one of the Carr twins making a big carry, but unfortunately the support not quite coming in quick enough, and the ever-threatening presence of Bryony Field was straight over the top to turn that over for the African Violets. And Dave, that is a welcome sigh of relief for the visitors.
Yeah, really well done by Bryony Field. And this front row battle between, well, particularly, well, that's not a great kick, but particularly Field and the two Cars, it is brutal carnage in the midfield with those lot, isn't it?
Well, it was straight into the arms of Emily Griffiths, that kick, rather than touch. And unfortunately, when Griffiths tried to run it back through the field, it was the strong frame of Ellen Scantlebury that was over the top of the ball, getting the turnover for Loughborough. And all of a sudden, in the space of about 2 minutes, they've marched their way from their own try line right up into the Cardiff Met 22, potentially.
Well, we've already seen how dangerous midfield penalties can be. And that's something that coaches concentrate on, isn't it? Compound errors. You give away 2 penalties, look where you are now. Perhaps the kick not as deep as they'd have liked. And now Bryony Field's turn to try and get something going from the line out.
Loughborough taking quite a leisurely stroll to get to this line out, Dave. Is that tactical? Is that just biding their time?
They're probably knackered, to be honest. It's been played at a hell of a pace.
Well, the ball's been claimed well by Loughborough. They've set up a driving wall of their own, but it's not quite worked out. So Field has peeled and she's gone for it. One-on-one with Reardon. Reardon manages to bring her down, but Loughborough are dangerously inside the Cardiff Met 22 now. Jess Rogers with the ferocious tackle back, forcing Loughborough to retreat ever so slightly. Green now on the ball. She's biting her way back in field.
Penalty advantage.
Easy control, commanding her back line to get up, face the tackles. Ooh, a little bit of a sniping run there around the edges. And now it's with Sally Williams, who's met by about 3 archers in defence. Leah Green works that ball out the back to her captain Tasker, who takes it straight up to the line. Surely the pass had to go. The ball bobbling everywhere on the floor. Paige Jones is the one that comes away with it, but Loughborough had the penalty advantage, and so the play will come back for the African Violet.
Yeah, just a little bit panicky from Cardiff Met, wasn't it? Just around the breakdown, and then they tipped a toe offside as well. But they've been very brave in defence of their own 22, and this is interesting for Loughborough now.
So the referee making a call for offside against Cardiff Met. There were multiple infringements though, so that means that they had a choice, which is why the conversation was going on. And now Loughborough will kick it into the corner. They want to set up that maul. They want to get a try of their own in this game, because if they want to stay in the game, that's exactly what they've got to do, surely.
I think the more important thing is not wasting another opportunity inside the 22. I wondered if, in fact, they might have gone for the 3 points there, because it's looking like it's going to be a tight game. And that was a gimme right in front of the sticks. However, Bryony Field, of course, looking to follow in the footsteps of Lark Davis, former Loughborough Lightning, now at Bristol Bears, who's been an absolute try machine from almost this exact position.
Well, Sally Williams claimed it in the line-out for Loughborough. Her ever-reliable hands have worked the ball back now to Bryony Field. She is in the driving seat for Loughborough to walk this all the way up towards the Cardiff Met try line. Is she on the try line? She's over! It's Loughborough's first score in this game. They are back in it. And that's exactly the response that Katie Trevathan would have been looking for in her team.
So well executed. From the moment that line-out was claimed, you knew exactly what was going to happen, and it's something that Loughborough Lightning have been superb at, and that has come down into the Loughborough students team as well. Lifted off the floor there, and it was dragged down, so I think had that not gone over when it did, it would have been a penalty try anyway, but the referee has shown a bit of common sense there, so there won't be a yellow card, there will be a try. Bryony Field makes it 7-5, and look, halfway through the first half, and it's game on.
We just love this league. We love this league.
Yeah.
BUCS Rugby is the best league in the land, the best sport in the land, and what a treat we are being introduced to today. Leah Green will now line this one up and hopefully get an extra 2 points to tie the scores with just over 20 minutes gone in this fixture.
So Leah Green, really interesting one. And the thing that she's most famed for is her golden boot. She's only been playing rugby 13 months. She was at Millfield on a soccer scholarship, and she's transitioned to outside half, and that's the result.
Well, the rest is history, as they say, because she seems to be flying in this game so far. She is definitely one of the commanding figures of that Loughborough side. And it means that after that kick's gone through the uprights, it's now Cardiff Met 7, Loughborough University 7.
And we talk about experience as well. Of course, so many of these Cardiff Met players are going to be involved with the Wales under-20s and then beyond. So many of these Loughborough Lightning players. So let's use Leah Green, for example. She's going to be under the wing of Emily Scarrett, who, of course, is out injured at the moment. But there's probably not a better kicker in women's rugby to learn from. And even though this is a brilliant league, a league that we love. Oh, hang on.
Unfortunately, Bo Westcombe Evans has made a break down on that far side of the pitch for Loughborough. She's rounded the final defender in Emily Griffiths. It's an instant response for Loughborough in this fixture. Singleton with the last gasp tackle attempt. But it's not come to anything. The try stands for Bo Westcombe Evans.
What a finish. Absolutely astonishing from Bo Westcombe Evans. We talked about her as one of the players with Premier 15's experience. We were just talking about the great backs that these Loughborough students are learning from in the Lightning setup. And that is them at their very best. When she created the 2-on-1, I was like, give the pass, you've got to give the pass. But no, she backed herself. Loughborough continued to run the support lines as well. Either side, so many options for her. In the end, Bo Westcombe Evans backs herself. And that is a moment of individual brilliance from Bo Westcombe Evans. What a try.
You talked about the lightning effect, Dave. What a way to shock a game and shock a defence with an effort like that straight from the kickoff. That was a fantastic piece of individual rugby from Bo Westcombe Evans. And now the extra 2 points that are up for grabs have been missed, but Loughborough now take the lead in this fixture for the first time, and they take it by 5. It's now Cardiff Met 7, Loughborough University 12.
Well, let's take a look at this. I thought we had time. We were going to talk about the development of players, and then Bo Westcombe Evans was like, no, no, no. I'm going to burn up the outside. She started that in her own 22. But look at the support lines there. She's got players on either side, one on the inside, one on the outside, just keeping the final defender guessing all the time. Still had a lot of work to do, but that kept the door open and she kicked it down. What a great score.
And we are back underway, and Bo Westcombe Evans is going to work right back out from her own goal zone. But she is brought down. Cardiff Met are not going to offer her an inch of space anymore on this park as they win the penalty at the first breakdown, the first opportunity, and they're not hanging around. Cardiff Met have gone quickly, and I don't think they've retreated 10 there. Is there an advantage? I'm not sure. I've not seen the referee's arm go up, but the Carr twins are now commanding their way forwards closer to the try line. Caitlin Hubbard with the latest carry from the base of the ruck. It has amounted to nothing, though. The referee is pulling them back for the penalty advantage, and he's gone into his pocket. Could this be the first card in this quarter-final in the Women's National League? It is.
Oh, and it is Nikita Prothero who's being sent.
Nikita is leaving the field now for Loughborough. So that's 10 minutes, down to 14 players. And just after doing something spectacular on the pitch, Loughborough go and lose one of their key players in that back line.
But I'm glad they've kicked for the corner this time, because when they went quickly, I was like, but the line-out's going so well. But the variety's good, and what an opportunity to strike straight back.
This is a perfect opportunity now for Cardiff Met to maybe potentially regain the lead of this fixture, but regain a bit of momentum as well in this game. Rosie Carr finds Hubbard, who's lifted into the air, and she'll now sit back in that driving seat and get the rolling maul started for Cardiff Met. The Archers starting to creep forwards, but Loughborough coming through. Ball. Super strong in defence. Met have taken ball to ground. Reardon looking for Singleton down the blind side. Singleton for the corner. It's a try for Cardiff Met. We spoke in the build-up how dangerous Super Seren Singleton was going to be. And she has dotted down for another instant response in this game. Dave, it's mad out there.
What a finish. Take a look at this. Up the short side, there are Loughborough defenders there. She's got no right to score that. That is absolutely astonishing from Singleton. I think if we take a look back at the maul initially, Loughborough had come through and were on the ball, so Cardiff Met did really well not to get turned over there. That could have been a maul that was dragged down, and it would have been Loughborough ball. So I think that's a positive that they can take from that. But in terms of Cardiff Met, I think the response to going behind, absolutely brilliant. Bo Westcombe-Evans tackled, penalty, go quickly, increase the tempo, and then when that doesn't work out, go to your gun. And Seren Singleton is that gun. What a game. What a game.
We have got an absolute treat of a rugby match in front of us this afternoon. And EC Control has got a very difficult kick, though, on this far side if she wants to take her side back into the lead.
Well, she's giving it a good go.
It's a fantastic effort there from the centre, but unfortunately just wide of the posts. So it remains Cardiff Met 12, Loughborough University 12.
I think what will please Cardiff Met there is they've scored almost immediately after Loughborough have gone down to 14 as well, so they've got a little bit more time than they normally would have to really exploit that. Honours even. Not even half an hour gone yet.
Leah Green is in the middle of the park to get us back underway in this fantastic Women's National League quarter-final in the BUCS competitions. And EC Control is straight under that and looking to run into a bit of space and keep the momentum for her Cardiff Met Archers going. Dixon with the clearance. It's going to bounce just in front of Georgina Tasker. The Loughborough captain will be weighing up her options now, and instead she looks to kick to her opposite number, Emily Griffiths, who in turn has started the game of kick tennis for us. And it's bounced out the hands of Tasker, but it's gone backwards. Nothing to panic about for Loughborough just yet, and she's put in a fantastic kick behind Izzy Wallace. What will Wallace do from here?
No, it's a good chase.
Great challenge coming in there from Leah Green to put the pressure on in defence. And unfortunately, the support of Roberta Curden-Jones was met by about 3 Cardiff Met forwards.
There, she got walloped there. What a clear out.
Dixon again putting boot to ball. She split the 2 players that were in the backfield for Loughborough, neither of them seeming to go for the ball, and charging up is Natalia Barnes with the support of Izzy Wallace. And Loughborough resort to kicking it down the blind side straight back to Dixon, who's managed to keep this ball in play, keep the game alive.
Ooh.
But straight out on the full with that kick, so we will go back to the point of where the kick was made. It was a bit of kick tennis there for a second, Dave, but great kicking from either side.
That's why you do it. That's why you do it. And we mentioned Leah Green's golden boot. So half an hour on that clock. It's linked in with ours, but it's not linked in with the referee's watch. So if we get to 40 and 80, and wherever you're watching around the world, if your team is winning at that point, do not get too excited, because there might be a bit of meat left on the bone. But yeah, that was a great boot to put the pressure on Dixon from Leah Green. And this is where we find ourselves now. Loughborough winning that particular bout of kick tennis. No, and then knocked on at the base. Or not.
It's evaded the eyes of the referee, but knocked on in attack. Great challenge coming in there from Molly Reardon. And she's dived straight on the ball for Cardiff Met to claim it once again. Griffiths now on the ball, getting the clearance kick in. Again, it's back in the hands of Captain Tasker. Bouncing awkwardly the ball on this ground at the moment, the damp pitch of Rugby 1, I should say, and Griffiths is back with the ball in hand. This time she does have support, so Cardiff Met will keep possession. Hubbard now looking to use her feet. She's beaten the first defender, but scooped up by the onslaught that came from behind the initial line of defence. Is that a knock-on from Maya Dixon in her own 22? It is.
Just before that, it's a really smart kick from Tasker. Something Cardiff Met have done really well is, as I've mentioned a few times, kicking it far enough that it splits Tasker and Green and finds the floor. I think Tasker has looked up, and wherever she's identified space, there's usually been space on the edge, either left or right, and that's where Tasker's trying to find grass. And admittedly, the ball came back to Cardiff Met that time, and they should have cleared it, but you know, they're playing in the right areas here, and a lot of that is down to the nice kicking from Georgina Tasker. And this is a massive chance now. All the width to play with. And we've been talking about Tasker's backs moves that she's been working on. I wonder what part she'll play in this one.
Well, you talk about the width of the game. Scanterbury is still within the 15-metre line on this pitch, so they are set up quite narrow, Loughborough. Let's see what they decide to do then as Westcombe Evans comes away with the ball back inside to Swartz. She's made some good ground, and it's an advantage for a high challenge for Loughborough University, so they've got that penalty advantage. Taking up Cuerden Jones. She spilt the ball forward in contact, and despite the efforts of Emily Joyce diving on the floor, it is indeed a high tackle by Cardiff Met, so Loughborough have the penalty, and Tasker is pointing straight to the posts because Loughborough want to retake the lead and retake control of this quarter-final fixture.
I think that's smart money because they're still down to 14, and they can just take some time off the clock here. They back Leah Green. She's 1 from 2, as is EC Cantrell. And I think if you can maintain your lead, whether it's by 1 point, 3 points, 10 points, or whatever, when you're down a player in a tense game like this, and it is tense, it's a real arm wrestle.
And the kick is good. The extra 3 points belong to Loughborough University. It's now Cardiff Met 12, Loughborough University 15 in this Women's National League quarter-final fixture.
Yeah, I think that'll be frustrating for Cardiff Met because that's a free gift, isn't it? You knock the ball on in your own 22, and then after Loughborough have coughed it up, you've already given them the free 3 points. It was a high shot on Schwartz, wasn't it? Westcombe Evans taking it to the line, looking to bring that big ball carrier in.
Well, EC Control gets us back underway again. It's into the breadbasket of Leah Green, and she will return it straight away to her opposite number, Maya Dixon, who is retreating back. And after weighing up her options, puts boot to ball for a lovely kick.
That's a better kick, and also good for her as well, because it was her kick straight into touch that led to that period of pressure, and then she knocked it on. So to make a valuable contribution like that, just sort of dust it off, next job, and that's just important to recover from a couple of errors, and she's done well there, Dixon.
It's a big thing to have the ability to do that as a player, isn't it?
Hugely, especially in a pressure cooker position like outside half.
Paige Jones barking at Bryony Field to try and put her off there in the line-out, but it has made its way out to Sarah Sretha. And a bit of a counter-ruck there coming in from Katie Mackay, the try scorer for Cardiff Met, but the referee deeming it not legal.
Katie Carr was quick off the mark, off the back of the line-out there, wasn't she? Hunting scrum halves.
It's like you said in the build-up, Dave, it's quarter-finals time. Yeah. Everything's at stake, everything to play for. You're going to give 110% no matter what minute of the match we are in. And we're currently just creeping up to the 35-minute mark, so the final 5 minutes of the first half are approaching.
Well, you know what it's like to play for Cardiff Met, and I know what it's like to play for Loughborough. And at this time of year, as we mentioned before, you're like, right, win today, it's one more week. One more week with your mates, one more week of training, one more week of socialising. We've had a change for Loughborough. Emily Maguire's come on the loose head side. Oh, is that not straight?
Yeah, referee not happy with that throw coming in there from field. So we'll be pulled back for a Cardiff Met scrum.
So Emily Maguire, she's an interesting one. So she's come on at Loosehead, spent a lot of her time playing rugby in the second team. Started life as an outside half and had a sit down with Katie Trevarthen and was like, well, what do you like about rugby? She's like, well, I like hitting rucks and tackling people. And Katie's like, I've got an idea.
Sounds like it was a match made in heaven in a way.
Yeah, and here we are. She's in a Women's National League quarter-final.
Well, I'm now actually going to redeem myself for earlier because you said that my fun fact wasn't actually so interesting.
Please,
I've got a really good one for Emily Maguire. So in an old job, she made a coffee once for Chris Robshaw at work. She made a coffee for him.
Wonder what his coffee order is.
Well, go on, have a guess because I've got it here.
Oh, okay. He's a flat white guy, but cow's milk. Not.
No, he's not. He's not.
Is he? What is going?
No. Apparently, he's an oat milk latte kind of guy.
Top man. He's my guy. He's been spending too much time in London. That's all, Robbo.
You've heard it here from Emily Maguire first. Chris Robshaw loves an oat latte. Nothing wrong with that.
No, I love an oat latte. Go on, Chris Robshaw.
But back to the rugby in front of us here on the field and not the coffee beans waiting for us afterwards.
Couple of minutes to go till half-time. This is a key period in the game. Cardiff Met will want something, knowing that Loughborough is still down to 14. They'll want something before half-time. They'd love to go in with the lead, something to hold on to. But we're in a proper contest here.
Well, that is a fiercely contested scrum. Loughborough with the counter shove. Reardon has dealt with that pressure well. Dixon now on the ball. She's invited Cantrell to run through the middle of the park. Sniped up well by Faye Robinson, though. Reardon around the edge of the ruck. She's found a bit of space. The offloads work to Jess Rogers. Rogers charging her way through the middle of the field. Finally brought down. Cardiff Met with the momentum, with quick ball now as well. Paige Jones taking it up. In support is Katie Mackay, her fellow second row. Reardon will now feed. Rosie Carr barreling her way forward, shoving off the effort of Kierden Jones. And now Dixon invites Natalia Barnes onto the ball. The referee is playing advantage as well. Emily Joyce with the latest carry for Cardiff Met, but met well in defence by Loughborough. And here comes Katie Carr on the ball. Reardon has found Jones, who's looked to use her feet, but is met by Bryony Field, who's made a big challenge there in the middle of the park. Jones has spilt the ball, but we will come back for the Cardiff Met advantage. Offside called, and it's a great opportunity to march their way deep into Loughborough territory.
Cardiff Met have looked their best when Reardon has sniped. Whenever it's gone one out, Loughborough have read them. There've been some big collisions. They're sending forwards in, and unless it's Rosie or Katie Carr, they generally lose the gain line. Even those two, brilliant carriers as they are, they're not really able to create any quick ball because Loughborough, you know, it's a heavy pitch, big players run into big players. It's really difficult to generate that pace. When Molly Reardon has had a little snipe, of course, it led to the first try. It was her quick thinking up the blind side that led to the second try, and we've just seen her sniff another gap as well. So I think that's something that they're going to look to try and exploit, because when she's had big forwards running off her, then they've got gain line and go forward. And that's a door that Loughborough are going to have to try and close in the second half, particularly when people get a little bit more tired.
Well, the throw from Rosie Carr has found Jones once again, and Cardiff Met set up another rolling maul. But Reardon decides they don't want to keep it in there for too much longer. Singleton out the back of Dixon. She's palmed away the efforts of the Loughborough defence. That tackle coming in from Swartz was not going to stop her. And now Barnes with her own opportunity on the ball, targeting the middle of the defensive effort. The players set up another advantage there for Cardiff Met. The Carr twins linking up well. Lovely bit of a pop pass there from Rosie onto Katie. Dixon now inviting Rogers into the game. Rogers bumping off that tackle, still playing advantage to the referee. Dixon running an arcing angle, crossing though on that far side for Cardiff Met, but the advantage is still there. In fact, they've got two potential penalties, so the referee is going to have another conversation about where they want to take it.
Well, interesting that they're going to go to the corner here instead of taking the 3 points. The clock in the stadium has gone to 40. But the Cardiff Met line-out, it's been pretty good, isn't it? Rosie Carr's darts have been pretty on the money. This, an identical position to the one where Seren Singleton absolutely tore up the right-hand side.
You've got to make sure that you're aware of that as a defensive effort now, haven't you? Because if you get the ball to Singleton again in another one-on-one situation on that blindside wing, surely it's try time again for the Archers.
Well, unless the winger on the short side makes a better one-on-one tackle this time.
Well, Carr has thrown to Jones once again. That's a reliable connection for Cardiff Met at the line-out,
Oh,
and the
very
rolling
nice.
maul is just striding forwards for the try, and Rosie Carr will dot down once again for Cardiff Met. They have got another try in this fixture, their third of the game. Now that, as far as rolling maul efforts go, was textbook.
Well, we've seen two completely different rolling maul tries, haven't we? We've seen Loughborough's being methodical and grinding their way towards the line. We've seen Cardiff Met there get early momentum and just say, right, we're going over, we're not taking any chance. You've got Rosie Carr using the forwards in front of her as a beautiful shield. First things first, I think Loughborough will be disappointed with this because they haven't competed at the line-out because they know the maul is coming. But it's almost like it's caught them by surprise. Beautifully executed, brutally executed. And just before half-time, Rosie Carr gets the reward of 5 points after a really hard graft in the first half for her. She's been one of the shining lights for Met, and they're going to lead at the halfway stage. What a game.
We have got a cracker taking place on Rugby 1 here today. And with the score now reading Cardiff Met 17, Loughborough University 15, if this kick goes over, we might see a half-time lead of 4 points in favour of the Archers.
Good strike. Great strike. Here we go.
It's the extra 2 points. It's the extra extension on their lead. It's now Cardiff Met 19, Loughborough University 15. It is the half-time break. And as far as first half performances go, that was brilliant from the Archers.
It certainly was. I mean, they have not let the form books affect their performance at all. We talked about the importance of getting a good start. They did get a good start. They got the first try. Then when that second try went in, that Bo Westcombe Evans beauty, I mean, that is going to go on the highlights reel that they put together at the end of the season. I've got no doubt about that. But aside from that, aside from moments of brilliance, I think Cardiff Met will probably be the happier of the teams in terms of how they've worked together as a team, in terms of how they've overcome the adversity. They'll probably be a little bit disappointed that they let Loughborough into it after they went down to 14. But we've got a one-score game. Exactly what we wanted. Exactly what the viewers at home wanted as well, I hope. A warm welcome to you wherever you're joining us from around the world. If you are just joining us, it is half-time. We've been taking through all of the action. It is seesawed. Cardiff Met took the lead. Loughborough equalised. Loughborough went ahead thanks to a Bo Westcombe Evans beauty. But then some unanswered points from Cardiff Met means that they lead by 19 points to 15. We're going to talk more about the rugby. We've got plenty to chew through, and of course we'll be bringing you the second half and the last game of the BUCS Super Rugby season. But it is silverware season. We've got BUCS Big Wednesday to come up. However, Cardiff Met have already been on the winning trail. The women's football team lifted a trophy, well, a few days ago now, isn't it? Let's take a look at how they went about that.
Siobhan Walsh yn dda ac yn chwarae'r 1-2. Murray derbyn y bas yn ôl, a mae'n cael ei llorio gan Fion Price o dan drwyn. Charlotte Carpenter y ddyfawnwraig. Cic o'r smotyn i Met Caerdydd. Erin Murray, Chamberlain yn mynd y ffordd cywir. O, mae Chamberlain. Ellie Price ar ôl y bêl rydd. Siobhan Walsh yno yn ei bugeilio hi. Ellie Price yn mynd un ffordd yn ar ffordd arall. Gwych gan Price yn sgwar at Erin Murray sy'n dyblu mantais. Met Caerdydd, 22 o funudau wedi chwarae. A Price ar gwaith creu yn wych, Murray'n sgorio eto. Mae'n ras fan hyn rhwng Rhian Oakley a Steph Turner. Mae'r gol-geid wedi dod yn bell oddi ar ei llinell. O, camddiffyn hunanfeddiannol gan Turner yn pasio'r bêl oddi ar y postyn cyn clirio. Ond mae yn gic o'r smotyn, trosedd ar Rhian Oakley. Siobhan Walsh i haneru mantais Met Caerdydd ac mae'n plannu hwnna i gefn y rhwyd Met Caerdydd 2, Caerdydd. Murray mlaen at Ellie Pris, cyfle fan hyn i Pris i sicrhau'r tlws i Met Caerdydd, does bosib am gol gan Pris. Mae di creu un ac mae di sgorio gol hyfryd hefyd.
What a game in terms of us, in terms of performance we've put in today. I couldn't be prouder of these girls. Yeah, we love this trophy. The trophy's coming back home with us, okay, and we're absolutely buzzing about it.
A massive diolch to Scoria and the S4C team for giving us that footage to show in this half-time period. I am joined by none other than player of the match, Ellie Priest. Ellie, you saw my reaction just then when we were playing it.
Yeah.
That was a phenomenal goal. I mean, what a performance from yourself individually.
Thank you.
Did you enjoy the fixture out there with your team? Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's not about individual efforts. You've got to really club together, and with it being a literal repeat of last year's team matchup in that final, it must have been a big occasion for all of you.
Yeah, obviously it was a great day, and coming off the last few games of playing Cardiff City, I don't think we went in there with the full confidence that we were going to come out with a trophy. So yeah, it was a great day, to be fair.
And is there anything that really helped you guys in camp building up to that fixture? Obviously, you know, you had a week or so to prepare. There were BUCS games to focus on during the week potentially as well, other training regimes going on. What was the message within the squad in preparation for that fixture?
Obviously, putting the league aside, we went in there we felt like there wasn't much pressure. We wanted the trophy, but to go into the game, I think we changed our strategy of the formation. We had different motivation towards it. But yeah.
Will this be a good piece of momentum potentially for you guys to take forward into next season?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Sorry. What was the question?
Don't worry. It's just thinking like this is a big trophy to win at this stage in the season for you guys. And does this mean it's a big piece of momentum potentially to carry forward into next year?
Yeah, we'll always look to obviously win more trophies and to get at least one trophy on a season that might not be the best season I think we've had, and still take away one. I think the next year we'll look for the other trophies as well.
Now, thank you so much for joining me, Ellie, but we are going to focus on another game that's coming up today. We've had silverware victories at the weekend. We've got a BUCS quarter-final going on behind us, but coming up later today, we've got the final BUCS Super Rugby fixture of the season for Cardiff Met. Well, we are back underway here at Rugby 1 on Kincoid campus for the Women's National League quarter-final fixture between Cardiff Met and Loughborough University. The score currently reads Cardiff Met 19, Loughborough University 15. And straight away, Cardiff Met have won a penalty. A little bit of back chat from the African Violet sees the penalty marched a further 10 metres forward. And Cardiff Met have got a perfect opportunity to get 3 more points in this fixture right from the get-go.
Sarah Smart talking to the referee once the penalty was awarded. And this is it, a gift of 3 points. They've kicked off. Cardiff Met weren't offering anything, and then Loughborough conceded a stupid penalty, and this is a free gift for EC Cantrell, and effectively the chance to give them a little bit of breathing space, make it a 7-point game.
Well, you
just
can't
doing the maths there. It is a 7-point game.
Your teachers will be so proud of you, Dave. Well, you can't see it very well on the screen there, but it is starting to drizzle a little bit more out here in the lovely vale of Cardiff and Glamorgan. But I'm sure it's going to play into the hands of the wonderful Cardiff Met archers. And hopefully EC Cantrell can get this ball over despite the potential commentator's curse by Mr. Rogers.
What do you mean, Mr. Rogers? You're the one talking about it.
But there was never anything to worry about. EC Cantrell strikes the ball true and clear and gets 3 more points for the Cardiff Met Archers in this women's quarter-final. That is the perfect way to start this second half.
We've got 2 kickers on either side today who strike the ball beautifully. And that's a little bit of a warning shot now for Loughborough, as they were behind already. That makes it 7 points. They know that they can't give away any penalties within 30 metres, because EC Cantrell is going to put them to bed. And Leah Green gets us back underway. That is not the start that Katie Trevarthen and co would have wanted.
It's not, and we see EC Cantrell has scooped up the ball, and she's scooped a further 10 metres out of the Loughborough defence, and she's got them very firmly out of their own 22, and Paige Jones almost breaking through. Cardiff Met making good ground, and making good ground quickly. Katie Carr now carrying forward for the Archers. Reardon will go digging to offer the ball for Rosie Carr, but it's just evaded her hands. Dealt with well by the scrum half. And the Archers are coming in now.
Do you know one of my favourite things about coming to Cardiff Met, James?
What is it, Dave?
There's always rugby celebrities around.
Speaking of rugby celebrities, I've got Mr. BUCS Super Rugby and I've got women's rugby royalty in the form of Laura Jane Jones now joining us here on comms. Laura, thank you so much for coming up to join us. Have you been enjoying the game out there?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I tell you what, that the outside centre for Loughborough, I apologise I don't know everyone's names, but Bo Westcombe, oh, that try was unbelievable. I'll tell you what, we've got Women's Six Nations kicking off in a matter of days now, really, a week or so to go, and you're going to struggle to see a try of that quality in that competition. That was so good. I'm absolutely blown away by that. Obviously, I'm supporting the Met. Goes without saying. Honorary Archer here today. But I tell you what, a try like that has to be applauded, and I hope it goes wild on socials now, because that needs to be seen by everybody.
Well, you highlighted Bo Westcombe Evans then, and you've now claimed your allegiance to the Cardiff Met Archers. Thank you for doing so in front of Mr. Loughborough himself. Can you pick out potentially an individual from Cardiff Met who maybe has a future pushing off into that Women's Six Nations that you just mentioned?
I've been impressed by Caitlin Hubert on the open side. I think solid little player. I think the big thing with Met is they've obviously got a game plan here and they're sticking to it. It hasn't necessarily gone as they'd hoped pre-match. I spoke to Lisa Newton before the game. She was hoping for a dogfight. She wanted the rain to get heavier, and that was the area that she certainly thought that Met were going to get the upper hand. I'm not necessarily sure it's always gone their way, but they've stuck to their guns with it. I've brought Sammy Wong, former Wasps, with me. We thought that the 7 points should have been the aim there just after half-time. I don't know why they went for poles that early in the second half, but perhaps putting a score out of reach is their aim now as the rain does come down.
Oh, it's hanging now, isn't it? When a coach says that they want the rain to fall and to make a dogfight, I think that's easy for them to say in a warm coat in the dugout, but that's a brilliant scrum from Met.
Fantastic scrummaging from Cardiff Met, but it is Loughborough who come away with the ball through Sally Williams. She picked and went around into that open side of the field, and now marching through the middle of the park, Emily Maguire was on the ball, trying to find a gap in that Cardiff Met defence. Leah Green now putting the kick in behind. She's found a big gap in the Cardiff Met backfield, but offside for Loughborough.
It's really interesting watching women's rugby at this level and watching university women's rugby and the change in this game over the past 5 years. And we were just talking about it when we were in the gantry hiding from the rain. But the amount of kicking I've seen in this game and the quality of the kicking has really astounded me today. And I've been down to watch the girls a few times this season. But it's something to me that is just improving season on season at the moment. I mean, 5 years ago, you would have had one kicker in the team who'd have kicked the leather off of it. Wouldn't necessarily have always got it right. Not necessarily always the right time in the game, but the tactical kicking in this game has been really impressive for me so far.
And what we've just seen there is a cultured 50-22 from somebody who's been playing rugby for 13 months. It's astonishing.
Yeah.
Great footballing ability from Leah Green. And Loughborough now find themselves in what has to be said is a very dangerous position. Now, the ever-reliable hands of Sally Williams claimed the ball there, and it was Bryony Field that's come away with it as Loughborough look to march their way ever closer to the Cardiff Met line. Ball pinging around quite a lot there. Molly Reardon doing her best to add to the defensive effort. The scrum half has hurtled the onslaught from Loughborough into touch.
That is great hustle in the 22 from Cardiff Met there, but Loughborough just dishing hospital passes. I think I want to see more from players like Sally Williams and Amanda Schwartz and Bo Westcombe Evans, those players with Premier 15's experience. They're all big ball carriers. They're all good defensive organisers. And I think as it gets a little bit messy and composure's required, those ones who've had the experience at the top level this year just kind of need to grab this game by the scruff of the neck, because at the moment I think Cardiff Met are winning the emotional battle as well.
I have to laugh though, Dave, when you say they've had Premier 15's ball in hand. I have never seen such a bald rugby ball in my life as that one. The only thing that would make that worse is dipping it in melted butter at this point, because it is the proverbial bar of soap out there. So they're all doing well for me at the moment.
Yeah. But you've both done it very nicely for me there, bringing the Premier 15s into the conversation. Look, how important is it that we keep developing that league so that teams like these out on display this afternoon, have a progression path to move into post-university and keep developing their rugby playing ability so they get onto that international stage?
I mean, it goes without saying the development of that league is integral not just to women's rugby in the UK but globally, and we saw that at the World Cup last year. But I'd actually probably turn it on its head there, and I'd say that it's rugby at this level and the development of university rugby and grassroots rugby that is feeding that league. You know, as it stands, there are X amount of teams in one league in Europe that are shining above everyone else. It's everywhere else that we need to improve it, and these players feeding into that is a great ambition for them. But rugby at this level, being at this level, is certainly a real positive for me post World Cup seeing this.
And I also think it's huge credit to rugby at this level, the quality of coaching we're seeing and the quality of individuals as well. So we've spoken a lot about Katie Trevarthen coaching this Loughborough group. She's Loughborough Lightning's most capped player. Of course, Mo Hunt is coaching Hartbury as well, and they've won the league and they won the cup last year. And there just seems to be this pathway that's worked elsewhere, and it seems to be working here too.
And what an incredible appeal if you're applying to universities, you're playing rugby in high school, and you can look at a side and, oh yeah, well, Emily Scarrett comes in and does a bit of coaching with us every now and again. If you're a young girl and you're applying to uni, you'd apply just for that. Doesn't matter what course they do.
100%. And also looking at players' progression as well. As you said, it's good to have that as a shining beacon, but also seeing players. I spoke earlier about Sophie Bridger, who captained Hartbury last season. She's been one of the standout players in the Premier 15s this year, still working out what she is. Is she a 10? Is she a 12? Is she a 15? Doesn't really matter. She's out there playing rugby with brilliant players in a brilliant environment, but that began at Hartbury playing Women's National League.
And do you know what? A player that we've been talking about today, somebody that I came to know through university rugby, went up and did a little Try Hards podcast session, little plug for you there, with the Bristol uni girls, and that was Phoebe Murray. And for me, I can't understand how she is not in the England squad for this year's Six Nations. They've got frailties in midfield at 10. I would have her there, and her journey in rugby through that university, so integral to where she is at Bristol Bears today.
I'm the same with Bridger. Just talking about Welsh rugby as well, with the TikTok Women's Six Nations about to start, the fact that so many of those Welsh players are playing in top teams now, like Gloucester Hartbury, like Bristol Bears, who are probably going to get to the playoffs in the Premier 15s this year, means hopefully we're going to see a better return from Wales in this year's tournament.
Now I'm just going to interject because Super Saren Singleton has found her way onto the ball again. A lovely pick and go from Molly Reardon down that blind side from the scrum. And she's done so well to keep a hold of the ball there. Dixon now with ball in hand after getting absolutely clobbered after releasing that pass. And Cardiff Met are looking to spread the width, spread the play, get out onto that other wing, because they've introduced Caitlin Lewis onto the pitch. So she's got her first big carry out of the way. The nerves will have been shaken off. And Cardiff Met have set nice and wide. They're going to look to move the ball back through the hands potentially. And Loughborough have also introduced some replacements in the form of Stephanie Atkinson, Lucy Dale coming on for Abbott Austin and Poppy Phillips. Big collision there on Katie Mackay. Reardon fed her the ball from the base of the ruck. And once again commanding the forwards along with Dixon, who's invited Rogers onto the ball in the middle of the park once again. The number 8 loves to carry the ball straight up the middle of any defensive effort, but scooped up. Scooped up was Molly Reardon by Bryony Field. Hung off her like a rucksack. Katie Carr barking for the ball, but not seeming to get it. They've gone down the blind side. Molly Reardon's found a bit of space. Did she get it to Maya Dixon? No, it's found the floor. Easy control coming across to potentially clean it up. But the ball is back in Loughborough University hands. And unfortunately, Cardiff Met's latest attacking effort has come to an end.
if I'm a ball handling forward, I am just sort of waiting around Reardon for one of those snipes to hit the line, because maybe not on a day like today when it's wet and slow, but on a dry, fast day, you are going to score a hatful of tries. She's so aware of all the space around her, Reardon.
And the referee calling a stop to the play because there was a knock-on on the floor by either side when they went to compete for the ball, so it's going to be a scrum down in the favour of Loughborough. Now, Laura, I'm going to come back to you because I'd like a quick score prediction, and I'd also,
oh my goodness,
I'd also like you to potentially pick out your player of the first half, because I don't know if you're going to be staying around for the entire second half, but if you could pick a player of the first half for me, I would greatly appreciate that with your expertise.
Well, there's no question of my player of the first half. Bo Westcombe Evans' try puts her as my player of BUCS Super Rugby this season so far. Granted, I've seen a handful of games, but that's who I'm picking out as my player as the first half. Score prediction. I think Cardiff Met will have this. To me, they've dominated this second half so far in terms of they've been very composed. And for me, I think we're going to see a Cardiff Met win. Another try on the board each. I'm going to go with a kind of 30-ish, 22-ish final score in favour of Cardiff Met.
30-ish, 22-ish, not specific at all. I love it. You mentioned try-hards there, and of course it's getting into a busy period for women's rugby with the conclusion of the Premier 15 season, TikTok Women's Six Nations, Under 20s, and the development series that's going on. Any fun stuff that you can tell our millions watching around the
millions
world
watching. Well, I'm actually seeing Her Royal Highness Danielle Waterman tomorrow, and we will be chatting tryhards. And I think we'll be back next week. We have had a little bit of a break post Rugby World Cup. Obviously, both of us working across lots of different rugby products, the Sevens and European rugby, and Nolly's been on commentary duties for ITV throughout this Six Nations. So we have had a little break, but we will be back with a vengeance. We are looking at perhaps some kind of after-party fun after England-France, but that is yet to be confirmed, so I'm probably going to get told off for revealing that. But we'd like to be doing something around that with lots of our friends. I think the big thing for me was that I felt that I was in the thick of it last year at the World Cup and got to enjoy that, but there was a lot of women's rugby fans who didn't necessarily get to enjoy the party side of that and kind of the chaos of the circus of women's rugby at that level. And, you know, if we are looking at what will be the biggest ever international rugby match for the women's game this year in the Six Nations for England-France, 50,000 tickets sold and counting, then
amazing.
I think we should be celebrating it with all of our might.
And
so hopefully,
you're talking about parties. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the level is. If it's not fun, what's the point?
Exactly. And I think you know, the big thing that women's rugby has going for it at the moment is that we're still retaining that fun on and off the pitch.
Sorry to butt in front of you, Laura, but Seren Singleton found herself in a bit of space after Caitlin Lewis was able to spread the ball wide for Cardiff Met. But unfortunately, Loughborough have scooped up some loose ball there on the near side touchline. Oh, and again it's evading the hands of Leah Green. Cardiff Met pouncing on it first, but instead the ball is being brought back by the referee. It's going to be a scrum to Loughborough.
We talked at the very top of the show about the emotion of this game, didn't we? About the fact that it's a knockout game. For a lot of these players in their final year of university, you win, it's one more week, you lose, and you're done. You never get to pull the shirt on again. At the moment, in this second half, it looks like Cardiff Met are dealing with that emotion a little bit better than Loughborough. They're just playing in the right areas of the pitch. They look more composed. As LJ mentioned, the game plan, they're just sticking to it. They're playing in the right areas. Loughborough have not had a sniff.
Cardiff Met really benefiting from having their coach Lisa Newton back as well, obviously missing a portion of this season through having her little boy, who I'm very disappointed is not joining us here today, but I forgive her because it is pretty cold and wet.
It's cold.
Yeah, but I think she's probably returned to the ranks, obviously a former archer herself. She's come back at just the right time for them, and I think that composure will help them.
A great kick in there from Loughborough finds Griffiths under some significant pressure from the chase by Green and by Tasker. But Cardiff Met dealing with it well at the ruck, keeping the ball. And now Paige Jones with the latest carry forwards. Cardiff Met did very well under pressure there, Dave, to keep possession, maintain possession of the ball, because they don't want to give Loughborough any possession in their own half, really.
No, they certainly don't. Well, it was another great kick, though, wasn't it? And LJ spoke in detail about it earlier, but it is a massive improvement on Rugby at all levels. Oh,
unfortunately, a rare mistake there from Captain Fantastic Georgina Tasker. It means that the ball will be turned over to Cardiff Met deep inside Loughborough territory. It's going to be a scrum down Met ball. Laura, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry to take up so much of your time. You really need to go back out there and just enjoy this fixture. I feel like we're getting free work from you right now.
I came up here because it was warm, boys. So anytime, and hopefully I'll see you for the semis.
Do you know what's a real waste is the fact that we haven't had LJ on camera here, because the matching bag and hat and band across the top of the headphones that you don't even know shouldn't go unnoticed. So.
Obviously, there's sponsorship implications here for you on BUCS Super Rugby TV, but I am just wearing all of my stash from a trip to Vancouver with the Sevens last week, so standard.
I feel like I need to make more of an effort in future now when I come to these streams. I feel pretty bad.
Always stay warm.
Look good, calm good.
Yeah. Cheers.
You heard it here first,
Bye,
people.
boys.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, there is some action to get back to, because Cardiff Met have got a scrum just outside the Loughborough University 22, and we have been introduced to Natalia Roach coming off the bench for the Archers and packing down at the tight head prop position, which means that we've seen the last of Katie Carr in this fixture, who's been one of Met's key ball carriers, Dave.
Yeah, she certainly is, but I think the coaches will be so pleased with how Cardiff Met have played in this second half. Hasn't been a half of massive opportunities, but they've got themselves that 7-point lead, and they're just slowly turning the screw. You don't have to shoot all your shots at once. Loughborough's still making great shots like that. Bo Westcombe-Evans is in there again, but it's all Met.
Well, Jess Rogers is inviting Seren Singleton back into the game. She's taking the ball straight up to the Loughborough defensive effort. Leah Green could not turn that ball over on the floor despite her best efforts, and now Paige Jones again carrying the ball, the workhorse second row going through the middle of the park. And now Sophie Licence Law, she's got her first carry out of the way as well, newly introduced into this game. Katie Mackay, the try scorer, looking for a gap. She's found Paige Jones. The offload's gone into the air, but into the hands of Seren Singleton. Singleton cutting back on the inside of the field. She's got support from her Archers. They've secured the ball. Now, what can they do with this momentum? Roach carrying forwards, taking 3 Loughborough defenders with her. It's anyone's game here right now. Licence Law again finds Paige Jones. Rogers now, another big carry, another big collision. That's Stresser with the tackle there. Dixon, Barnes, Cantrell, no, it's an interception. Bo Westcombe-Evans just before it could get to the hands of EC Cantrell, but the referee saying the knock-on was made. And so Loughborough have given up possession just when it looked like Westcombe-Evans was going to run the length of the field. And it's another scrum in a similar position.
I think the frustrating thing for Loughborough is they're absorbing a lot of pressure, and just as they did in the first half, Cardiff Met are going through the phases very patiently in the second half, but then when Loughborough do get their hands on the ball, they're not able to capitalise, they're not able to show the same patience. So as you take a look at this, it was a lovely read. Cardiff Met looking to go through the hands. Bo Westcombe-Evans, a really important tap tackle, but then it goes forward again. I'm just opening up my BUCS law book here to find out what happens in the event of a drawn game, because there are all kinds of rules. What I can tell you a little bit later on is when Cardiff Met men host Loughborough men, Loughborough need to win by essentially 1 clear point over Exeter, because they're 1 point ahead at the moment. So if both Exeter and Loughborough win by a bonus point, then Loughborough are champions. But if Loughborough win without a bonus point, Exeter win with a bonus point, they finish level. Exeter are league champions, and that's based on head-to-head throughout the league season. The league season here is done, therefore knockout rugby. So I just want to confirm if we go to extra time, if it is done based on the fact who scored the most tries, if Loughborough win as the away team. So we're going to consult the law book and make sure that we bring our viewers the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because the stakes are pretty high here.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a bit of a highlight here on Paige Jones. She's receiving a little bit of treatment. It's probably nothing to be concerned about because the second row has just been going no matter what in this fixture. She's been receiving knocks left, right and centre. She's been brushing them off. She's been giving people sassy looks. It's been fantastic to watch out there. And I'm sure this isn't going to be the last we see her because she's going to go straight back into that scrum, probably win the scrum for Cardiff Met in that second row alongside Katie Mackay. And she's just going to keep soldiering on.
Yeah, the engine room have worked really hard for Cardiff Met today because they've come under a lot of scrutiny, particularly in the back row. The likes of Sally Williams has really been dishing it in defence, but they've kept going, and they've just done well. That game plan, they've done well. They've dominated. They've made the changes in the front row now, as you mentioned, licensed law, Natalia Roach on. Let's see what effect that has at scrum time. But again, this is a really interesting field position. Cardiff Met don't have anybody on the blind side here. You can only see the scrum on your shot, but nobody on the short side. Loughborough have left the defender there, so there should be numbers here.
Well, Rogers has gone. She's gone herself around that blind side, and she is scooped up by several Loughborough defenders, and instead needs to invite in Caitlin Lewis onto the ball. Support essential there for the Archer. Now, Paige Jones, the workhorse we've just been talking about, stripped in the middle of the park by Bryony Field, and now Loughborough surely with a big counter-attacking opportunity. Now trying to round EC Control, Amanda Swartz. She's finally brought to ground, and now Loughborough will look to play with ball in hand.
Bryony Field at times has been immense today.
Crossfields on here. Leah Green found the space, almost found Ellen Scantlebury, but it didn't just quite set up for her, unfortunately.
That had shades of France versus England there, didn't it? It was the same shape on the kick, same position in the field. If it bounces up, then Ellen Scantlebury is scampering home to give Loughborough the chance to equalise. But as it stands still, Cardiff Met 22, Loughborough 15. Just that EC Cantrell penalty added at half-time. And how much will Loughborough and Sarah Smart regret that little bit of back chat that gifted 3 points to the opposition?
Well, 7 points is quite the mountain to climb in any sort of rugby match, especially that of a quarter-final in such a competitive league as the Women's National League. An advantage is being played to Cardiff Met for a knock-on at the line-out conceded by Loughborough. So Met have got a little bit of free ball to play with here.
Penalty advantage now, I think, yeah. More breakdown infringements. It's
closing the gap in that line-out. They're so hot on it these days, these referees. They don't want any infringements taking place. And so it means that Cardiff Met have a great opportunity to get back into the Loughborough territory. And Dave, I'll be honest, I don't think Loughborough played much rugby in the Cardiff Met half in this second period.
No, they had that one opportunity, didn't they? And they fluffed that really sort of 5-6 minutes into the half. Since then, we've spent a lot of time looking right.
Now Sophie, licensed law, just receiving her instructions from Emily Joyce about how they want this line out to go. And they want it to go to Paige Jones. It has. It's worked well for the Cardiff Met pack, and they get that rolling maul going again. Sophie, licensed law, is in that driving seat, which was occupied by Rosie Carr in the first half. But a great counter push from Loughborough. Molly Reardon going around the blind side. She thought she found a bit of a gap, but she was scooped up in defence and pushed back, and it might be a turnover there for the Loughborough team. It is. So the African Violet back on the ball, back on the front foot, and now Cardiff Met have to quickly switch into defensive mode. Green with the kick downfield. It bounced and sat up awkwardly for Griffiths, but she dealt well with it. Barnes with the quick step to avoid the oncoming challenge of West Coombe Evans. She's done well to work her way into a bit of space, wait for the support. Contrell now on the ball. West Coombe Evans again the first up in defence to meet her. Oh, and a stray pass from Reardon going to Hubbard. Hasn't quite found it, but it has found the feet of Sarah Srestha. The flanker for Loughborough has punted the ball forwards.
Oh, is she taking that in?
Was that taken over by Singleton? The referee...
Well, no, they're shaping for the restart. I think Singleton has just let it bounce over, but she had to have her wits about her there. Sarah Srestha Wasn't a clean strike, but this is the first question that Loughborough have asked of Cardiff Met the entire second half.
Bryony Field just asking the question that we were asking but a few moments ago, but the referee reassuring her that it is definitely a goal line dropout. And even the best efforts of Georgina Tasker haven't been able to convince the referee, and instead EC Cantrell will kick this ball out for Cardiff Met from their own try line. And now the African Violet have a chance to attack through Sarah Smart, who's going down up one-on-one against Seren Singleton, and Singleton did so well to deal with the winger. She was trying to round the Cardiff Met defensive effort, but Singleton sweeped her out into touch.
Sarah Smart's quick, and she's raw, and she can create moments of magic, but one phase into an attack when you've hardly had any ball, you can't lose. The touchline never loses a tackle, and she's trying to go around the outside. It was never, ever on, and I think that just about typifies Loughborough's half here. They've been so impatient, but they pinched that. Here we go.
It hasn't found the hands of Paige Jones again. It was a great interception by Lucy Dale for Loughborough, and so they are back in attacking mode. Cardiff Met switching quickly into defence, but Sretha is through the middle, finally brought down by Dixon, the fly half, having to cover her tracks, and now the ball being worked out wide. Caitlin Lewis flying up in the Archers defensive line. Great tackle there coming in from Caitlin Lewis. EC Cantrell now tackling to the floor. Sally Williams. A knock on by Cardiff Met when they went to try and turn the ball over. So it will be a scrum put in for Loughborough.
Sarah Sretz has had a busy minute or so, hasn't she?
She's had a busy game, to be honest with you, Dave. She's constantly trying to get onto that ball for Loughborough. And I think what we've seen just then is a glimmer of what she will do in this game if you give her even an inch of space.
Well, this is the danger for Cardiff Met. They've been controlling the game so well, but there was always going to be a time where the field position pendulum swings, and even though they've been dominating the game and they've been playing with composure, it's still only a 7-point game. If Loughborough equalise, I will treat you to the laws. But until then, Cardiff Met have got one foot in the semi-finals.
Well, Loughborough had the put in at that scrum, but it has collapsed before the ball went out. So we're just going to go for a straight reset here. Doesn't seem to be that anyone needs a straight talking to, but we're just going to reset and go again.
What I will say as well is I have had the laws presented to me, but you keep calling me Mr. BUCS Super Rugby. Mr. BUCS Super Rugby is Simon Cruz, and he has been straight in my DMs, and he sent me the laws as well. So hello to you, Simon. Great to have your company. And hopefully you're going to stick with us for the men's game later on as well. And that goes for all of you watching at home, wherever you're joining us from around the world. Two great games today. I mean, if the men's game gives us anywhere near this level of drama, then we're going to have an absolutely cracking day here in the Welsh capital.
Nikita Prothero finds Westcombe Evans at first receiver, but Westcombe Evans doesn't find anyone else behind her with that pass. And unfortunately, Hubbard is straight up on Green, and so is Maya Dixon to make the tackle on Leah Green. Loughborough have lost a significant amount of ground there against the Cardiff Met defence. And so it's Project Reset here for Loughborough as they try and start another attack. Rogers has had Green slip through her tackle effort. Hubbard coming in with the chop. She's brought Leah Green down at the pivotal moment.
Penalty advantage here for Loughborough.
Tasker looking to get that ball out wide to Westcombe Evans, who's drifting across the pitch into more space. Lovely tackle by Caitlin Lewis. And the support of her fellow Cardiff Met archers coming in beautifully there to stop any further advances from the very threatening outside centre. Huge crunching tackle going in on the far side of that pitch by Seren Singleton. Griffiths teaming up to bring down the Loughborough attack. But a penalty awarded to Loughborough. Just a few metres short of the line.
Well, Prothero looked like she wanted to go quick there. There's a player down for Cardiff Met. I think Loughborough have to go for the corner here. They have to get that driving maul working. Even if they don't get the conversion, they've made it a one-score game with 10 minutes to go.
Now, Kaylin Hubbard is leaving the field, but we are introduced to the Scarlets under-18 sensation, Seren Webster. who's come onto the pitch. She has been an absolute form for the Archers all throughout this season, putting in great shift after great shift in Women's National League competitions. And she's doing very well in what is her first year in the Cardiff Met setup. The sport PE and health student, bringing a wealth of knowledge now onto the pitch, obviously with her region's experience. And Singleton just staying down for a bit of extended time now.
Lucy Dale on there as well. We can see her with her hands on her hips wearing number 19. Katie Trevathan was saying that she's excited about the impact that she can have. She's been involved in every squad this year as the rain has got about as heavy as it has been all afternoon. It is pretty hanging out there at the moment. So job number 1 for Loughborough. They're in a great position, but they need to secure this wet ball.
And they have. They found the reliable hands of Sally Williams again in the line-out. And they've set up another driving maul. Bryony Field is in that driving seat, as I've said time and time again. They are inching ever closer to the line. The referee's arm is in the air. Bryony Field has dotted down for the try for Loughborough University. It's their third in this game. It brings them much closer to Cardiff Met's score. And we have really got a final 10 minutes on our hands here down on Kincoid Campus's Rugby 1 pitch. Because without the conversion, it's currently Cardiff Met 22, Loughborough 20.
Again, the composure. The composure, to be fair to Cardiff Met, they got on the right side. They did their best to slow it down. They didn't change their bind because it's so easy to concede a penalty there. But just as Cardiff Met come round on the inside, Loughborough go around the outside. Bryony Field so composed because she knows the forwards ahead of her are doing all the hard graft. And that sets us up beautifully for the last, 7.5 minutes on our clock.
Here goes the kick from Leah Green. It is not good. So Cardiff Met still hold the slimmest of leads, the slimmest of margins. There are 2 points in it here at Kincoid Campus's Rugby 1 pitch. It's Cardiff Met 22, Loughborough University 20.
Well, that makes my draw laws less relevant now, so I'll save those for another time. There would have been extra time. And then if it's still a draw after extra time, other things happen, but I'll keep that in the top pocket.
You can save that one for later.
Well, I was going to say keep your powder dry. You do well to keep anything dry in these conditions, but what a game we've got. 22-20, 7 minutes on our clock.
And EC Control has fed the ball straight back into the arms of Leah Green. And she's put in a brilliant clearance kick there for the African Violet.
Well, LJ talked about it. The difference in the quality of kicking in this league to last season and the season before that. The upwards trajectory on the kicking game. And also teams having more than one kicking option. So we've talked about Leah Green, but Tasker's kicked well for Loughborough too. Molly Reardon has kicked and Dixon has kicked for Cardiff Met. Just need a full court performance from everyone these days.
Ruby Smith looked to claim the ball at the front for Cardiff Met, but it just slipped out of her hands. But it was claimed again on the floor by Jess Rogers. Great bit of work there from the Cardiff Met forward pack. Maya Dixon's clearance kick was charged down, but she collected it and clears again.
Oh, she's done well there.
And Loughborough definitely on the back foot there, chasing their tails there to get the ball. And that's not found touch. It's found the arms of Emily Griffiths, who's invited Caitlin Lewis into the fray, who's potentially looking to bring Seren Singleton into a bit of space back in the infield.
Meters after contact there. Superb. 2 centres to deal with.
Great work from the winger. Now Ruby Smith evading the first tackle, breaking the gain line there for Cardiff Met. Now Katie Carr. Big carry forward from the tight head prop. Dixon was sat in behind, and now the kick bounces awkwardly in front of Green, but she's dealt with it well for a clearance kick of her own. There is no one back there for Cardiff Met, and now Caitlin Lewis is the one chasing her heels, running back for the Archers. All of the pressure now coming in from Loughborough University. Great tackle effort coming in there from Becky Boyd, but Dixon again clears Archer lines.
Second rows leading the kick chase. Superb from Becky Boyd.
Even with 75 minutes gone, the fact that they're still chasing that kick, and this one has gone too far.
That's a massive mistake from Tasker, and I know we've been pumping her tyres up and saying how well she's kicked, That was an open goal for a 50-22. She was a metre or so inside the halfway line, had acres of space because there was no one covering the left-hand side for Cardiff Met. She's overcooked it, and that is, with 5 minutes to go, that is a huge turning point. If Loughborough go into the 22, the way the line-out's been going, Bryony Field on a hat-trick, that's a massive moment. In the rain, Cardiff Met can just chew a little bit of time out of the clock. Slow scrum set, clock keeps ticking. And I think this is the moment where they become favourites for this game.
Well, with the weather increasing to biblical scenes here at Kincoid campus, the scrum is getting ready to get us back underway once again. And it's Cardiff Met with the ball in hand just inside the Loughborough half. And that's exactly what they'll want to do with about 3 minutes remaining on this clock.
Yeah, the weather's not getting any better, is it?
Simple passes through the hands is what they need right now, and Dixon's done exactly that to find E.C. Cantrell, who is running a beautiful hard line, but met well in defence by Leah Green. Rogers now on the ball, running straight into fellow forwards. Katie Carr, oh, is it a knock-on? No, referee deeming it to have gone backwards.
I think for Cardiff Met now, it's just all about being squeaky clean. No silly penalties to give Loughborough field position, and likewise for Loughborough, they've just got to make their tackles and maybe wait for the mistake that'll give them one last opportunity.
Molly Reardon went for another snipe, but it's not paid off because Loughborough have the ball back in hands. And it's now Prothero who's got it out wide. It's going through those hands. Westcombe Evans, what can she do here with a bit of space? Singleton has got her in her grasp, and so has Cantrell. They've shoveled her out into touch. There will be no further advances for the outside centre.
Oh, referee's having a good look at his watch.
Cardiff Met already asking the question, how long are left?
Frustrating for Loughborough though, and again, I think we have to be critical of players because this is a high level of rugby. You cannot run into touch in a position like that. There are so many options. Take it to ground, put a kick in over the top, put a kick in behind, ask questions of Cardiff Met, make them exit.
Now we have had a change. Paige Jones has left the field.
No, Loughborough have absolutely hit the self-destruct button here.
They've handed over possession once again to Cardiff Met. So we've got minutes left on this fixture. In fact, we're coming up to the 90-second mark on this game.
The referee is soaking wet and he's freezing, and he just did that thing there where you stand up and you tense your shoulders and you bring your arms in to just try and extract any bit of body heat you can from whatever's left. It is cold, it is wet, and nobody has told the weather that it should be springtime here at Kincoid.
Your Sundance didn't work when you woke up this morning,
No.
Dave, unfortunately. I hate to break it to you, but what I do want to get you to do is I need you to maybe think of a player of the match for me, because we are in those closing moments. We've got a few seconds left on the clock, really, by the time this scrum is done and the ball out into the backfield once again. So, who stood out for you?
I think, this is a difficult decision. I think the player of the match has to come from the winning team, but for Loughborough, I think Bryony Field and Sarah Sretzer have been absolutely superb. For Cardiff Met, I think Molly Reardon with their hands on the ball there, as well as the Carr twins, have provided all kinds of industry, and E.C. Cantrell has guided them around the park. Who am I going to select as my player of the match?
Well, Dixon opting to kick the ball straight down the throat of Georgina Tasker. They've handed possession back to Loughborough. A dangerous tactic maybe as Westcombe Evans finds a bit of space and gets the offload away to Sarah Smart.
Forward pass.
And down that far side touchline was Ellen Scantlebury, but shoveled out into touch. Our clocks have gone dead, but the clock on the wrist of the referee has got 2 minutes left. He's just said 2 minutes, so we aren't in those final seconds like we thought. We've got a whole 2 minutes to play for still, Dave.
Just trying to decide who my player of the match is. This was lovely from Westcombe Evans, but again, Loughborough just so keen to find the edge. Even if it hasn't gone forward, there were so many edge defenders there for Cardiff Met. Just stop shifting on responsibility, rely on your teammates, build through some phases, and Loughborough just have not done that in the second half. Cardiff Met's drift defence has been superb. Maybe they've offered them the edge. Maybe Loughborough have thought there is room on the outside, but there never has been. Whether it's been on the left, whether it's been on the right, they've been shut down. And 2 minutes between Cardiff Met and a semi-final against Hartpury.
Jess Rogers picks and goes from the base of the scrum. She's found Reardon, who was looping around the outside of her. Now Webster's going to step in and play scrum half. She's found Barnes. Cardiff Met not rushing with the ball in hand, taking their time to set up. Good carry forward now from Rosie Carr. Referee getting in the way of Katie Mackay getting on the ball.
Next stoppage, unless it's full time. I've got player of the match, by the way.
Licence Law now. Sophie Licence Law bundling her way through that African Violet defensive effort. Katie Mackay, one of the try scorers of the day. Advantage to Cardiff Met. They've got a penalty advantage. This is free ball now. It's a chance to try something special, to maybe put the cherry on top of this cake. We'll have a great performance today for the Archers.
Very quickly then, Molly Reardon, player of the match. The way she's guided the team around, the way her darts, the way her break set up the first try. 80 minutes from scrum half in these conditions is no mean feat. And I think she is deserving of the Player of the Match award today.
And we're still not even finished. Cardiff Met, they must know that time is surely up in the coming seconds, but they are still going forward as if it's minute 1 in this BUCS Rugby Women's National League quarter-final. And a big bundle of players on the floor there. The referee looking at his watch again. Jess Rogers in a bit of space, out wide, but on the ball is Caitlin Lewis. She's managed to get all the way up to the Loughborough 22. She's got sufficient support from her teammates. And now Cardiff Met marching ever closer to that Loughborough try line. But Reardon says enough is enough. They kick the ball out. The road to the Stone Eggs progresses for the Cardiff Met Archers. They will face Hartpury University in a semi-final. What a performance in miserable conditions for the Archers. But there is nothing miserable about that result.
What a performance, but what a game. What an advert for rugby at this level. What an advert for these two institutions. Cardiff Met, they've had a crazy season. They've had changes of coaches. They've had changes of personnel. They've had injuries to deal with. And I think that body language of those Loughborough players tells you exactly what you need to do, exactly what you need to know. Their season's over. For some of them, their journey in African Violet is over. But for some of those Cardiff Met players, it's one more week, and maybe one more week after that. It's a daunting task against Hartpury, but that's not going to matter right now, because after winning, after grinding that result out, after playing in those conditions, after dealing with an onslaught, after coming from behind, I think they'll feel as though they can take absolutely anything and anyone on in this Women's National League knockout competition.
Absolutely, especially if they can keep players like Molly Reardon on the park, because you're right, she is the standout player of that match, because she commanded the Cardiff Met side to attack consistently forward, to put in a great performance, and at no point across this park, were Cardiff Met looking like they were lost. No, she was commanding them well with Maya Dixon. I think the two of them worked really well. 2 changes at the halfback pairing in this side going into today. But it's paid off so well with the Archers, and I mean, what a fantastic result to come away with.
On days like today, where they're great games to play in. I look at all these players now, they're freezing cold, they're soaking wet, they're stinking dirty, but none of that's going to matter, because when they look back on this, they're not going to remember any of those bad things. They're going to remember how they played as a team. They're going to remember how they picked themselves up from going behind. They were 7-0 up. That became 12-7 after we saw that Bo Westcombe Evans try. And that felt like a little bit of a momentum shift for Loughborough, didn't it? It felt as though, right, that might be the moment where they take control of this game. But the exact opposite happens. Cardiff, they went back to the forwards. Then Reardon started bringing in a big ball carriers. They started to dominate those collisions. I think Loughborough deserve a huge amount of credit, because for the vast majority of that second half, they were really under the cosh. They couldn't get anything. However, they managed to get themselves to within 2 points. When you look back at a game like that, 22-20, and you think about, you know, a missed kick here or a missed tackle there, teeny, tiny moments are the difference makers. But Cardiff Met, deserved winners. That's a glorious win for them. That's a huge turnaround as well. It was a 20-point defeat last time they played Loughborough in the league. But here they are. semi-finalists. And as I said before, we've seen teams have really disappointing league campaigns and launch incredible assaults on the playoffs, and that's exactly the opportunity that Cardiff Met have got now.
And I will just briefly draw your attention to these pictures as well, because the Archers are clearly celebrating something which should be celebrated deep into the night sky here in Cardiff. But the respect that both sides showed there at the end, the tunnels, the handshakes, it's one of the most special things about rugby, isn't it, surely?
Yes, and deserved celebrations for Cardiff Met. I'm sure you'll be with them, James, in Revs a little bit later. They've got a semi-final against Hartpury to look forward to, and we have got a BUCS Super Rugby finale to look forward to. Loughborough could be the champions later on, and Cardiff Met could spoil the party.
Every game, every minute does not matter. It is the here and now, and that's why we love Cup Final Rugby.
Long over the top to his namesake.
Romajeng stepping away, drives towards the line.
Hartpury, who are the queens of BUCS women's rugby.
The green machine explodes. BUCS Super Rugby bleeds green.
The try is given.
Now is this space on the left-hand side. Beautiful ball, great finish. Rydian Williams.
Here goes Larry Davis, dances inside, frees herself and drops it down to level the score.